Now then, people, and good morning and welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. This is your Leeds United versus Middlesbrough Carabao Cup Round 1 preview. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in and hit that notification bell. And we'll be getting into it on the other side of this boss intro. So, folks, we're going to have a quick look at what will be, for me, quite a tough evening for Leeds United against Middlesbrough. Leeds United should be winning the game. I expect us to go into every game winning, regardless. Middlesbrough have a good squad. They have a very good up-and-coming coach. I think this may be Middlesbrough's year in the Championship in terms of they will push for the playoffs. I think they'll go very, very well this season. It'll be interesting to see what Carrick does in terms of lineup for the game. I don't think they have as big of a squad as us, and therefore have the depth that we have. I mean, Johnny Howson was on the bench. You've got people like Bergzorg, for example, who they picked up from Huddersfield, Dyke Steele. So you might see these come into the side, but I don't know if they'll be able to make wholesale changes. Whereas Leeds United, we have a wealth of talent. You know, I'm expecting. You say wealth of talent when I'm going to say Byram at right back, for example, but he's a very good Championship level right back. We saw that last season. So for Leeds United, it's time now for these players that are on the bench to stake their claim. Having seen us play at the weekend and draw 3-3 against Portsmouth, and yes, we played well, but ultimately we didn't get 3 points. There is a real opportunity for, say, someone like Aronson, who came off the bench, and I thought he played well. I think people are being harsh to say that prior to his goal, he didn't really do much. Yes, he played a ball out of play, and I think people are focusing in on that, but I think his minutes were decent, you know. He could have won the game for us at the end. There's an opportunity for him to stake a claim. Max Vober, for example, he's another that'll come in. I mean, I'll go through my lineup and you can give me your thoughts on it. I think a lot of you will think, well, if Darlow has a stormer, let's get him in. I don't think it'll happen. I think he will play, obviously, Wednesday night. But Farke continues to maintain that Meslier is one of the best in the division. I think he's fine for the division. He's not one of the best. And that's coming from someone who previously has said that. My opinion has wholeheartedly changed on the lad, unfortunately. I wish it didn't. But yeah, I'm thinking we go Darlow in goal. Byram at right back. Your centre-backs, do we give James Debayo a shout? I'd like to see us use the squad. I'd like to see some changes at the back, all over the pitch. We didn't do it enough last season. Let's do it now. That's what the squad's for. Could you see James Debayo at right centre-back, Max Vober at left centre-back? Unfortunately, we don't have a left-back. So if you want some sort of continuity, maybe he keeps Strouk there and puts Vober at left back. Maybe even he keeps Bogle and Firpo. More so Bogle, just to get him some more game time and get him more familiar with playing the Leeds United way, the Farke way, because we've seen at the weekend he was a bit all over the shop. You're hoping Joe Rothwell starts. Ampadu will play. He's the 100% pick regardless. He needs to play better than he did against Portsmouth, but I think Joe Rothwell will play. There's a real opportunity, for example, for Joe Rothwell to stake a claim. A lot of Leeds United fans want him in anyway. He is an opportunity. On the left, you probably think Aronson might get a shout. You think Aronson might get a shout with Pirro in the centre, and then on the right, you have either Gnonto or James. I'd go for Gnonto in that position. And up top, even Paddy Bamford. I think Paddy Bamford should start, which, of course, a lot of people will moan and groan. But he needs to play. He needs to get minutes so that when he comes on the pitch, he doesn't look as, I don't know, match rusty. I know people will say, well, we only seen him for 5-10 minutes or whatever, but he did look a bit rusty with certain touches, so he needs game time. He'd be going up against someone that he's previously played for as well. So I think it's an opportune time for him to get in. I don't go on with this notion that, you know, the cup doesn't matter. I've seen some takes, get out of it as quick as possible. The league's the bread and butter, etc. We're never going to win the Carabao Cup. I hear it, but we're playing Championship opposition. So for me, we need to go out and win. Daniel Farke's got a very tough opening month, because if he was to lose against Middlesbrough, you've then got to follow it up against West Brom on Saturday, where we're facing a manager and a team that Leeds United didn't beat last season, having drawn and lost. Carlos Corberán was one of them managers that had Farke's number, a bit like, Russell Martin, for example. You've then got Chef Wednesday. We've seen what they did against a very poor Plymouth side. And then following that, you've got Hull City. So Daniel Farke doesn't have an easy month. And, we've already seen the first managerial casualty this season with Ryan Lowe leaving Preston. I'm not saying that, but Leeds United cannot have a similar August to they did last, because me, for example, used that as one of the reasons as why we didn't go up, and I stand by that. If we then have a similar month, bearing in mind, we've had the manager in for a full season now. The 49ers have also said, on a number of occasions, we've had an extra 5 weeks at it, etc. We're still missing players. We still need players in the door, and quick. So Farke cannot have the August he had, and that includes in the Carabao Cup. We've got to win this game of football, not least to get buoyed up for the weekend as well. You don't want to lose 2 on the spin, especially at home. I say lose. It feels like a loss against Portsmouth. That's the mad thing. I think the majority of the fan base, we feel quite downtrodden, because it feels like a continuation of last. Like, when you hear this stat, it's quite, like, it takes you aback a little bit. Daniel Farke has won 2 of his last 10 games as Leeds United manager. That doesn't make for great reading. I think the pre-season that we had, myself, or I can only speak for myself, I thought we would blitz it. And you could argue we did blitz it against Portsmouth, but conceded and were sloppy in defence. You hope that arrogance, that cocksureness, that overconfidence that the players had, Farke said it himself in not so many words. You hope that that's gone now, and you hope that they put in a better performance against Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough will go well. Middlesbrough do have some good players. For example, if he doesn't change it, Isaiah Jones, Hayden Hackney, Lati Lat, Finn Azaz, who I'm a massive fan of, Luke Ayling, of course, who was captain for them at the weekend, by the way. And I've had a very good game by all accounts. I love that for Luke, especially when, I've been a fan of his for a long time and people were telling me he's League One, etc. Anyway, it's funny, isn't it? It's funny how the cookie crumbles and all that sort of jazz. But Leeds United need to go out and impress. Similar performance, just in the forward areas, not at the back. And I hope that the players that do come in, Aronson, Vober, Rothwell, Bamford, whoever, stake a claim. I'm not saying, they have a top performance and then must start the weekend. I think the only one really, if he has a top performance that you're pushing for to start, you're probably looking at Joe Rothwell. Maybe even Aronson. I can't lie, I thought James was a bit meh, if I'm honest. And I'm not James's biggest fan, so maybe it's an agenda creeping in. I'm not his biggest fan technically. I don't think he's great. He's just fast. But hey-ho, he did well last season. But there could even be a case of saying Aronson starts on the left and then you put Nonto out on the right with Rutter in the central spaces. Or maybe even Aronson in them central spaces and have Nonto and Rutter. That's fair. Could Aronson play in the 8? I'm not too sure. Knowing Farke, though, he probably won't make wholesale changes. I remember that time he did away at Stoke and it went to shit. And then he sort of like didn't trust the squad again. But he's got to trust these lads. You could argue they were overplayed last season. That can't happen this. So I want a lot of changes. But, and a lot of changes doesn't mean a poor lineup. Not for this Leeds United side. Because we have the best squad in the division. People still disagree with me on that. But there's not many that can chat to Leeds United's squad, if I'm being totally honest. So Farke needs to utilise it, Farke needs to trust it, and Farke needs a win. I want them 3 things to happen tomorrow night against Middlesbrough. Speculative 2-0 win. Let's see if we can get back on the clean sheet train. Remember last season we did only lose 2 games at home. We've started this with the draw, but let's hope we can, not lose. I think it would go straight to penalties. I'd rather that didn't happen and we win in normal time, and then the confidence can be put back into the side and we could go to West Brom and say, right, yous are getting turned over now. A bit like a wounded animal. It seems mad that I feel like this after a draw that you clutched from the jaws of defeat with one of the last kicks of the game, but Leeds United's expectancy is here. I want to keep the standards up here this season because that's where I'm at going into it. Don't want that to change, and that includes facing Boro. They are a championship side. We need to be putting championship sides to the sword. There needs to be an element of fear when you play Leeds United, like there was last year at Ellen Road, you know. So we need to get them put on notice. So, yeah, let's beat Boro. Let's make changes and show that as a squad, we just got too much for you. And let's hope that if we start fast, we can maintain it for longer. I'd argue I'm all right with starting a bit slower as long as we can maintain it for, you know, a full 45, maybe even 90 minutes. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Would you make changes or would you keep the same side? How do you see the result going? And give me your thoughts on Middlesbrough, because I think they've got a sneaky chance top 6 and maybe even promotion if they play the cards right through the playoffs. Don't see top 2, but yeah, give me your thoughts on that as well. And yeah, that's it from me. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you tomorrow night on the debrief on 1 Leeds, but I'll also have some transfer stuff, hopefully. We're closer to Raw. I'm going to keep manifesting it. Raw soon. Peace out, folks. Leeds is Leeds.